Hey everyone, Whitney here, and this is episode 3 of my IGTV series called My Gluten-Free Life. So if you missed episode 1 and 2, make sure to go back and check those out. So today I want to talk about testing for gluten sensitivity and celiac disease. I get this question a lot, and I actually got it the other day from my wonderful, amazing stepdaughter, who was asking for a friend of hers. She texted me saying, "Hey Whitney, a friend of mine is, always getting gluten allergies, and she gets tested for celiac disease and she comes back negative. What's up? What does she do?" All right, so this is pretty common. The reality is that when docs test for celiac disease, they're really just testing for a couple of different markers, right? These are different parts of the gluten protein or the wheat protein that people with celiac disease tend to react to the most strongly, okay? Now that's just 2 things they're testing for, right? So unfortunately, it's not 100% certain that all celiacs respond to these 2 parts of the protein. And certainly you can be super reactive to gluten and not have celiac disease. And that's called non-celiac gluten sensitivity. So if you think of gluten sensitivity as like a spectrum, right? And everything like from the start all the way like towards the end is kind of like non-celiac gluten sensitive, okay? And then when you get to the end of that spectrum, you have a small portion of the population that is diagnosed with celiac disease, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that if you are gluten sensitive, you will ultimately wind up with celiac disease. That's not what that means. It's just that you kind of have to think of this as a catch-all, right? You're gluten sensitive, and either you have celiac disease or you don't, but even if you don't have celiac disease, you can still have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which, by the way, is just as fucking bad, right? I mean, it totally blows. It can still lead to all of the complications that celiac disease can lead to, right? I mean, different autoimmune diseases, whether it's multiple sclerosis or scleroderma or type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis. There's a whole list of things that can go on when you have non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Now, folks with celiac disease do have a few more very specific health risks that they have to be cognizant about. Some of them cancerous in nature. I'm not going to go into that now. But the big point here is most docs, when they think that you might have an issue with gluten, they will run the celiac panel. And then when it comes back negative, they'll say, "No, gluten's not your problem, right? That's not what's going on here. You and gluten are fine." Okay, that's just bullshit. This is how people go undiagnosed for years and years and years. So what do? Well, there are tests out there that actually test for multiple aspects of the wheat protein, okay? You know how I said that the celiac panel tests for 2, right? Well, there is a lab, that's my preferred lab, called Vibrant Wellness, and they have a test called the Wheat Zoomer. Check it out. Go online and take a look at it. There's another lab called Cyrex Labs, and they have a lab test called the Cyrex Array 3, which is a gluten sensitivity panel. Both of these tests do test for multiple peptides. These are called peptides, little parts of the gluten protein. So we're talking about all the deaminated gliadins, the different transglutaminase, like transglutaminase 2 and 3 and 6, the alpha gliadin, the alpha beta gliadin, the omega gliadin, the gamma gliadin. Also, there are these parts called the high molecular weight and low molecular weight glutenins. Okay. Now, the cool thing about the Wheat Zoomer is that they also test for the non-gluten parts of wheat, right? And these are I think there's 10 or 11 different non-gluten parts of wheat, which people can be super reactive to. So, long and short of it is, you got a problem with wheat or gluten. Does it really matter what part of the protein you're reacting to, right? I mean, if it's a gluten part of it or a non-gluten part of it, it kind of boils down to the same thing. It is not good for you. It puts you at risk. It pisses off your immune system, and it sets the stage for more health issues down the line, okay? So takeaway is, if your doc says you don't have a problem with gluten because you come back negative on a celiac panel, just, I don't know, I call bullshit on that, okay? Go to a functional practitioner. Maybe your naturopath, if you have a naturopath, has access to these kinds of tests. Hey, message me, right? Let's have a phone call. Let's talk about getting you tested. I really prefer the Vibrant Wellness wheat zoomer. So that's the one I recommend to my clients. One of the benefits to that test is that it also has what we call an intestinal permeability panel inside of it. So we can see how leaky your gut is, which makes a huge difference when you're dealing with food sensitivities and potential health issues and complications from those sensitivities. All right. So I hope this was super valuable for you. I get this question all the time. Now, I know it's kind of like a little more complex topic than I've talked about before. So if you have questions, definitely DM me just the words questions or the words, hey Whitney, and let's chat, okay? You can also hit the link in the comments below and set up what's called a discovery call with me. It's a free 20-minute call if you want to talk about working together. All right? Take care, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.